Welcome to Zukkun Knows. It's your birthday. Balloons, cake, presents, and a flood of social media messages. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why? Why do we celebrate the anniversary of our birth with such enthusiasm? Where did this tradition come from? And what does it say about who we are? 1. The oldest birthday on record. The idea of celebrating birthdays dates back over 4,000 years. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs were considered gods when crowned, and their birthdays as deities were marked with grand ceremonies. These weren't personal birthdays like we think of today, but they were the origins of celebrating powerful figures annually. 2. The Greeks and divine birthdays. The ancient Greeks adopted the idea and added their own twist. Cakes. They offered round cakes to Artemis, goddess of the moon, decorated with candles to mimic moonlight. That's right. The candle tradition might come from honoring the divine. 3. Romans made it personal. It was the Romans who first started celebrating individual birthdays. True, but only for men. They marked the birthdays of noblemen with feasts and public games. Women's birthdays weren't officially recognized until the 12th century. It was a social status thing. Birthdays meant you mattered. 4th, Christianity versus birthdays. Early Christians didn't celebrate birthdays. In fact, they considered them pagan and sinful, since they were linked to astrology and divine cults. For centuries, the only birthday that mattered in Christian culture was Jesus's, aka Christmas. 5. When did common people join the party? It wasn't until the 1800s that birthday celebrations became widespread among ordinary people. This shift was thanks to improved record-keeping, literacy, and the rise of the middle class. Suddenly, everyone had a known birth date and reason to celebrate. 6. Happy birthday to you. The most famous birthday song in the world started as a classroom greeting. Originally written in 1893 as Good Morning to All, it was adapted over time. By the 20th century, it became the standard birthday anthem, though it was copyrighted until 2016. 7. Birthday parties across cultures. In Latin America, quinceañeras. Celebrate a girl's 15th birthday as a coming of age. In Korea, a baby's first birthday, Inashuan Doljanshi, is a huge event predicting their future. In Japan, Shichigo-san honors children aged 3, 5, and 7. Different cultures have unique takes on what birthdays mean and when they matter most. 8. The dark side of birthdays. Not everyone loves their birthday. Some feel anxious about aging, while others feel pressure to celebrate. In some cultures, birthdays are even considered unlucky or taboo, like in parts of China or among Jehovah's Witnesses. 9. Are birthdays just about us? In reality, birthday celebrations often say more about our social world than ourselves. They're a chance to feel recognized, to belong, to be reminded that we matter. Even when we say, I don't want a party, a small cake or message can feel surprisingly emotional. 10. The future of birthdays. Will we still celebrate birthdays in the future? In a world of digital lives and artificial intelligence, some suggest we'll celebrate life milestones. Instead, first VR memory, first brain upload, first AI companion. But maybe that's the point. Birthdays aren't about age. They're about meaning. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. This channel was born on May 7, 2025. And like all birthdays, it started small, just an idea. Now it grows with every view, every comment, every curiosity you share. So if you're here, you're part of it. Happy birthday to us, and don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. You reach out your hand, they reach out theirs. A shake, a smile, and just like that, a connection is made. But wait, why do we do this? Why do we touch hands, one of the germest parts of our bodies, to greet someone? Isn't that weird? 1. Origins in weapon checks. The handshake may have started as a way to prove you weren't holding a weapon. In ancient Greece, soldiers extended their right hands to show they came in peace. Some depictions even show clasping forearms, just to be extra sure. 2. Roman grips and social rank. In ancient Rome, a handshake wasn't just friendly, it showed status. How you shook, who initiated, and even grip strength had social meaning. It was less high and more know your place. 3. A symbol of equality. Over time, the handshake evolved into a symbol of trust and equality. Unlike a bow or a curtsy, a handshake is mutual. Two equals meeting halfway. That's why it became popular in democracies and business settings. 4. Cultural variations. Not every culture uses the handshake. Japan, bowing is the default greeting. India, namaste with folded hands. Middle East, handshakes exist, but often gender-specific. Each gesture reflects deeper values: respect, humility, or spiritual connection. 5. Religious and gender norms. In some cultures, especially conservative religious communities, physical contact is restricted. A handshake between opposite genders may be discouraged or forbidden. Understanding these norms is key to respectful global interaction. 6. The business handshake. In the West, a firm handshake became a staple of professionalism. It communicates confidence, honesty, and openness. But too soft, weak, too hard, aggressive, there's a whole psychology behind that single gesture. 7. The rise of germ awareness. Enter the 20th century, and later the COVID-19 pandemic. Suddenly, that friendly gesture became a health risk. People began switching to fist bumps, elbow taps, or just waves. 8. Science says, don't studies show handshakes transmit more bacteria than other forms of greeting? One experiment found fist bumps reduced germ transfer by up to 90%. Still, many cling to the handshake as a sign of respect. 9. Is the handshake dying? Some argue that we should let it go. In a post-pandemic, germ-aware world, maybe it's time to retire the tradition. But habits and human connection die hard. 10. What's next? Maybe the future is contactless. Gestures, nods, eye contact. Or maybe we'll reinvent the handshake with tech. Sensors, haptic gloves, even virtual grips. Whatever comes next, one thing's clear. The way we greet each other will always say something about who we are. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. You don't have to shake our hand, but if you hit that subscribe button, we'll call that a deal. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. Imagine walking outside with no clothes. Awkward? Illegal? Maybe freeing? But why does it feel that way? Why do we wear clothes at all? Is it just about staying warm? Or is there something deeper stitched into our culture? 1. Clothes as protection. Originally, clothes served a basic purpose: survival. Animal skins, leaves, woven fibers. They kept us warm, protected from sun and insects, and safe during hunting. Early humans wore what nature provided, not what looked good. 2. Modesty and shame. Many cultures later linked clothing to modesty. Religious texts and social norms began shaping what was appropriate. Nudity became taboo, not just for protection, but for morality. But this idea isn't universal. Some indigenous communities never saw nudity as shameful. 3. Social status and identity. In ancient societies like Egypt, Rome, and China, clothing became a symbol of power. The richer you were, the more extravagant your clothing. Color, fabric, and design sent strong messages about your class, gender, or occupation. Even today, uniforms tell others who we are: soldiers, doctors, students. 4th, cultural expectations. In Japan, wearing a kimono. In Scotland, wearing a kilt. In the Middle East, wearing a hijab. Clothing is often used to express group identity, tradition, and cultural pride. Sometimes it's also used to control. 5. The fashion explosion. In the 19th and 20th centuries, industrialization made clothing cheaper and trendier. Fashion became a form of self-expression. Today, your outfit might say, "I'm cool," "I'm rich," or even "I don't care." Clothing stopped being just function. It became personality. 6. Gender and clothing. For centuries, societies defined clothing by gender. Men in pants, women in dresses. But in many cultures, this wasn't always true. Today, fashion is breaking those walls, blurring the lines between masculine and feminine. 7. Laws and dress codes. Some places have legal rules about clothing. No shirt, no service. Public nudity laws. Religious dress requirements in schools or offices. These laws can protect order or limit freedom. It depends on who's writing them. 8. Nudist and naturist movements. Some people challenge all this. Naturists believe being nude is natural and liberating. They argue clothes separate us from nature and create shame. There are even nudist resorts, beaches, and communities worldwide. 9. Climate and function. In hot, dry climates, people wear light, loose fabrics. In cold places, thick layers and fur. Sometimes function still wins over fashion, even in the modern world. 10. The future of clothing. What will we wear next? Smart fabrics that adapt to temperature? Clothing that monitors your health? Or digital outfits in the metaverse? Whatever it is, clothes will keep saying something about who we are, even if we never speak a word. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. You don't have to wear a suit to hit that subscribe button. But if you did, you'd look amazing. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. In the early days of the internet, it was chaos. Useless links, random ads, broken pages, and then 2 students asked a question no one else dared to. What if we could organize all of it? Not just find websites, understand them, rank them, make them make sense. That question didn't just lead to better search results, it led to Google. And nothing has been the same since. 1. The Stanford Meeting. In 1995, Larry Page visited Stanford as a prospective PhD student. Sergey, already a student there, was assigned to show him around. They argued a lot, but underneath the debates, they shared a passion, understanding how information connects. That chemistry sparked something. Larry began working on a system to rank websites by importance, not just keywords. Sergey joined him. 2. The birth of PageRank. The two believed the structure of the internet could be measured mathematically. Inspired by academic citations, they created PageRank, a system that ranks sites based on how many other important sites link to them. It was a game changer. Suddenly, search results weren't just noisy lists, they had meaning. 3. The Garage Startup. In 1998, they turned their research into a company. With a borrowed garage, $100,000 from Sun Microsystems co-founder Andy Bechtolsheim, and the name Google, a play on the number Google, they began building. Google quickly outperformed other search engines and began to spread like wildfire. 4th, a mission to organize the world. Their mission was bold, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. This wasn't just a motto, it guided everything. From Gmail to Google Maps, from Android to Chrome, every tool was designed to bring clarity to digital chaos. 5. The empire grows. By the 2000s, Google became a verb. The company expanded into ads, AdWords, email, Gmail, videos, YouTube, and mobile Android. It wasn't just a search engine, it was becoming the backbone of the internet. And yet, Larry and Sergey remained focused on long-term vision, not short-term profits. 6. Don't be evil. In the early days, Google adopted an unofficial motto, don't be evil. It was a reminder to use their power responsibly. Whether they lived up to it, that's still debated, but it showed how deeply they understood the weight of their influence. 7. Alphabet, a new structure. In 2015, they created Alphabet Inc., a new parent company. This allowed Google to focus on search while other projects like self-driving cars, Waymo, and health tech, Verily, could grow independently. It was a reorganization for the future. 8. Stepping back. In 2019, Larry and Sergey stepped down from their executive roles. They handed over the reins to Sundar Pichai, trusting him to lead. But they didn't disappear. As board members and major shareholders, they still shape direction quietly. 9. Return for AI. As AI exploded in the 2020s, both founders returned to contribute. Sergey even wrote code for Google's Gemini AI project. Once again, their fingerprints appeared on the next generation of technology. 10. The legacy of two minds. Larry and Sergey didn't just build a company, they built an ecosystem. They changed how we search, navigate, communicate, and learn. Their story is one of vision, code, and curiosity, and it's far from over. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. If this inspired you, don't forget to subscribe. The next tech legend is just one idea away. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. He didn't invent the phone. He didn't even finish college. But Steve Jobs had something else. Vision. Where others saw gadgets, he saw the future. This is the story of how one man and one fruit-named company reimagined design, technology, and what it means to hold the world in your hand. 1. A troubled genius. Steve Jobs was born in 1955 and was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs in California. From a young age, Steve was different. He was brilliant, but restless. His teachers called him difficult. He loved electronics, but hated being told what to do. In high school, he worked at Hewlett-Packard and met Steve Wozniak, a fellow electronics nerd who would become his future co-founder. Jobs briefly attended Reed College but dropped out after one semester. Still, he hung around campus, sleeping on friends' floors and auditing classes. One of those was calligraphy, which he would later credit as the inspiration for the elegant typography in Macintosh computers. Even as a dropout, he absorbed ideas like a sponge. 2. Enter Wozniak. Steve Wozniak was the engineering wizard. Jobs was the visionary. In 1976, they started building computers in the Jobs family garage. Their first product, the Apple one, was simple, but it worked. They sold it to local hobbyists. Then came the Apple II, a sleek, colorful, fully packaged machine that brought personal computing into homes and schools. It was a massive success. Jobs didn't just want computers to work, he wanted them to feel magical. 3. The rise of Apple. With early success, Apple went public in 1980, making Jobs a multimillionaire at 25. But success came with pressure. Jobs was brilliant, but intense, obsessive, demanding. He pushed his team to the brink while developing the Macintosh. But the Mac changed everything. It introduced a graphical interface, a mouse, and design people wanted to touch. The iconic 1984 Super Bowl ad announcing the Mac, that was pure Jobs, dystopian, theatrical, unforgettable. The fall, despite his genius, Jobs clashed with Apple's leadership. He recruited John Sculley from Pepsi to be CEO, but they eventually turned against each other. In 1985, Jobs was pushed out of his own company. He was devastated, but he wasn't done. 5. Next in Pixar. Jobs started a new company, Next. It made high-end workstations for education and science. The products flopped commercially, but the software? That would eventually power the modern Mac and iPhone. At the same time, he bought a small animation studio from George Lucas. He renamed it Pixar. Pixar went on to make Toy Story, the world's first fully computer-animated film, and an instant classic. Jobs didn't just rebound, he reinvented himself. 6. The return. By the mid-1990s, Apple was failing. Desperate, it bought Next, bringing Jobs back. He became CEO again and wasted no time. He slashed products, restructured the company, and focused on design. Then came the iMac, then the iPod, then iTunes. With each product, Apple wasn't just surviving, it was becoming cool again. 7. iPhone, the revolution. In 2007, Jobs introduced the iPhone, a phone, an iPod, and an internet communicator, all in one. No physical keyboard, just a touchscreen, and an interface that felt like magic. The iPhone wasn't just a product, it was a platform. It reshaped entire industries: telecom, photography, music, and social media. Everything fits in your pocket now because of that one keynote. 8. Simplicity and control. Jobs was a control freak, but it worked. He believed in end-to-end design. He picked fonts, materials, colors. He even obsessed over the inside of devices no one would ever see. He rejected market research. People don't know what they want until you show it to them. He wasn't always right, but when he was, it changed history. 9. The final act. In 2003, Jobs was diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. He tried alternative treatments first, then surgery. Despite his declining health, he kept presenting new products with his signature black turtleneck and stage presence. In 2011, he stepped down as CEO. He died just weeks later, at 56. Apple fans left flowers and bitten apples at stores around the world. 10. The legacy of Steve Jobs. Jobs left behind more than products. He left behind a mindset. That great design matters. That passion can drive innovation. And that even the craziest idea can one day fit in your hand. Tim Cook now leads Apple, but Steve Jobs is still the soul. In his own words, stay hungry, stay foolish. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe. The next Steve Jobs might be watching this video right now. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. It started with a crush. A Harvard sophomore built a site to rate his classmates. But behind the prank was something deeper, a new way to connect people. Mark Zuckerberg didn't just launch a social network, he built the nervous system of the modern world. And what began in a dorm room is now shaping AI, reality, and identity itself. 1. Harvard hack. In 2003, Mark Zuckerberg was a 19-year-old sophomore at Harvard. Bored and curious, he built FaceMash, a hot-or-not-style website where students voted on classmates' photos. It got 22,000 views in hours and crashed the campus network. He faced disciplinary action, but it proved one thing. People wanted to connect, compare, and engage online. Just months later, Mark launched the Facebook, a digital version of Harvard's student directory. You needed a .edu email to join. Exclusivity made it addictive. It spread from Harvard to Yale, Columbia, Stanford, and then everywhere. 2. From dorm room to global platform. By 2005, Facebook had spread to universities across the US. Zuckerberg dropped out to scale it full-time. He moved to Palo Alto, got early funding from Peter Thiel, and built a team. Soon, Facebook opened to high schools, then to the public. Its killer feature, real identity. No pseudonyms, no avatars. It was a place where you saw your real friends, your family, your boss, and their baby pictures. 3. Growth, power, and acquisitions. Facebook crossed 100 million users in 2008, then 500 million, then a billion. With massive reach came massive ambition. They bought Instagram in 2012 for $1 billion, a move many saw as crazy. Then came WhatsApp, $19 billion, and Oculus VR. Each acquisition gave Facebook new control over communication, attention, and even digital reality. Zuckerberg became one of the most powerful people alive, not through politics, but algorithms. 4. The dark side emerges. With great power came serious problems. Fake news spread faster than truth. Echo chambers deepened polarization. The 2016 US election brought accusations that Facebook enabled manipulation, especially with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Zuckerberg was summoned before Congress. His robotic testimony went viral. "Senator, we run ads," he said. But beneath the memes was a deeper truth. Facebook had become a system too big to govern. 5. Rebranding as Meta. In 2021, amid scrutiny and stagnation, Facebook rebranded as Meta. This wasn't just cosmetic. It marked a pivot from social networking to building the metaverse. Zuckerberg envisioned a future where people would live, work, and play in immersive digital worlds. Meta poured tens of billions into VR and AR, but public reaction was mixed. The graphics looked like a PS2 game, critics joked. Still, Zuckerberg doubled down. 6. Reality Labs and the VR gamble. Reality Labs became Meta's crown jewel and black hole. They released the Quest series of VR headsets. Presence, not just content, became the new buzzword. But adoption was slow. Developers left. Still, Zuckerberg insisted, the metaverse isn't about short-term wins. It's about owning the next computing platform. 7. The AI pivot. While Meta built virtual worlds, a new tech wave emerged, AI. Meta responded with Llama, its own open-source large language model. Unlike rivals like OpenAI, Meta let researchers build freely with its models. Llama became a serious player. Now in its 4th generation, it's trained on billions of parameters and is being integrated across Meta's ecosystem. 8. Meta AI Assistant. In 2025, Meta launched a universal AI assistant. It lives in Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, everywhere. You can ask it questions, generate content, even plan your weekend. Zuckerberg's goal, make AI as common as scrolling. But critics warn, if Meta controls social graphs, answer your AI assistant, how much of your life do they really shape? 9. Infrastructure and influence. Meta is spending over $60 billion in 2025 alone on AI servers and data centers. They operate one of the largest digital infrastructures on Earth, right next to Google and Microsoft. But their power isn't just technical. Meta's products influence elections, self-esteem, shopping habits, and even reality perception. 10. The hacker king. Mark Zuckerberg started as a college kid hacking Harvard. Now he runs an empire that shapes the minds and media of billions. Is he a visionary builder, a digital emperor, or just a guy who broke something too big to fix? Whatever the answer, the future he's building might already include you. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. If this gave you a new perspective, don't forget to subscribe. You might already be living in his metaverse. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. It started with a book. One man, one laptop, one garage. Jeff Bezos wanted to sell books online. But what he really wanted was everything. He didn't just build a store. He rewrote the rules of business, logistics, and even the internet itself. 1. The quiet nerd. Jeff Bezos was born in 1964 in New Mexico. He showed early signs of brilliance, taking apart his crib with a screwdriver as a toddler. He studied computer science and electrical engineering at Princeton. After working on Wall Street, he noticed something. The internet was growing 2,300% per year. So he quit, packed up, and drove cross-country to start a bookstore online. 2. Amazon begins. In 1994, Bezos launched Amazon from a garage in Seattle. It started with books, but the vision was bigger, to be the everything store. He chose the name Amazon because it started with A and evoked something vast. For years, Amazon operated at a loss because Bezos believed in scale first, profits later. 3. Relentless growth. Bezos was obsessed with growth. He reinvested everything into warehouses, shipping, and automation. Competitors mocked Amazon's lack of profits. But behind the scenes, Bezos was building the world's smartest logistics network. Fast delivery wasn't a gimmick, it was a weapon. 4. Prime and loyalty. In 2005, Amazon launched Prime, free 2-day shipping for a flat fee. It turned occasional shoppers into loyal subscribers. Over time, Prime added streaming video, music, and more. Bezos had found the holy grail, recurring revenue tied to habit. 5. AWS. The cloud empire Amazon wasn't just a store. In 2006, it launched Amazon Web Services, AWS, a cloud computing platform that quietly became the backbone of the internet. Netflix, NASA, even government agencies use AWS. By the 2010s, AWS was more profitable than the entire retail side of Amazon. 6. Inside the machine. Amazon warehouses are marvels of efficiency and criticism. Robots sort packages. Algorithms track performance. But workers face brutal quotas and constant surveillance. Bezos believed in data over sympathy. It made Amazon fast, but at a human cost. 7. The smile and the shadow. The Amazon logo has a smile, but Bezos' leadership style was intense. He was known for explosive meetings, frugal practices, and high standards. He banned PowerPoints, demanded 6-page memos. His mantra? Be stubborn on vision, flexible on details. 8. Blue Origin and beyond. In 2000, Bezos founded Blue Origin, his space company. He called Earth the best planet, but believes we'll need to move heavy industry to space. While Elon Musk grabs headlines, Bezos quietly builds. His goal? Preserve Earth by leaving it. 9. Stepping down in 2021, Bezos stepped down as Amazon's CEO, but he still owns a major stake and influences direction. His final shareholder letters emphasize long-term thinking, customer obsession, and invention. He left not with a bang, but with a framework. 10. The merchant king Bezos didn't just sell books. He built an empire of speed, scale, and software. He changed how we shop, store data, and even think about Earth. Whether admired or feared, he's the most effective merchant in modern history. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. If this opened your mind, hit subscribe. The next revolution might be delivered tomorrow. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. Long before smartphones and social media, there was one name that defined the digital age: Microsoft. And behind it, a teenage nerd who dropped out of Harvard to build the operating system of the future. Bill Gates didn't just write code, he wrote the rules. 1. Early sparks. Bill Gates was born in 1955 in Seattle. He loved books, puzzles, and once he discovered it, computers. By 13, he was coding at his private school. By 17, he and his friend Paul Allen sold their first software. They called it Trafo Data, a traffic analysis tool. It didn't succeed commercially, but it proved something. Bill could build things the world wasn't ready for. 2. The Harvard detour. Gates enrolled at Harvard in 1973, but spent more time in the computer lab than the classroom. He read tech journals obsessively. Then came the breakthrough. In 1975, Altair 8800, the first hobbyist computer, was announced. Bill and Paul wrote software for it before they even had the machine. They used a language called BASIC, a beginner-friendly programming language that let people write commands easily. They called the company Microsoft. 3. Building Microsoft. From a small office in Albuquerque, they started licensing BASIC. But Gates had a bigger vision: sell not hardware, but your software that powered everything. To clarify, hardware is the physical machine, like a computer or phone. Software is the invisible instructions, the code, that makes those machines actually work. He moved the company to Seattle and started hiring aggressively. His leadership style was intense. Smart people thrived. Others quit. The IBM deal in 1980, IBM asked Gates for an operating system, OS, the core software that manages all other software and hardware on a computer. He didn't have one, so he bought one QDOS and rebranded it MS-DOS. IBM used it for their PCs, but Gates kept the rights, so every clone PC also paid Microsoft. It was genius. 5. Windows World. In 1985, Microsoft released Windows, a graphical interface layered over MS-DOS. It wasn't great at first, but it improved fast. By the 1990s, Windows was everywhere. Schools, offices, homes. Microsoft became the default, and Gates became the richest man alive. 6. Internet Wars. In the late 90s, Microsoft was challenged by Netscape, a company that made one of the first popular web browsers. Gates responded with Internet Explorer, integrated directly into Windows. It crushed Netscape, but it triggered a major antitrust lawsuit. The US government accused Microsoft of abusing monopoly power. Gates testified with visible frustration, but the company survived. 7. Leaving the throne. In 2000, Gates stepped down as CEO and handed the reins to Steve Ballmer. He stayed on as chairman but slowly shifted focus. Microsoft remained powerful, but Gates's mind turned elsewhere: health, education, energy. 8. The Gates Foundation. Bill and Melinda Gates, his then wife and co-founder of the Gates Foundation, launched one of the largest private philanthropic organizations in history. They focused on eradicating malaria, improving vaccines, and funding education. Gates went from tech king to global problem solver. He invested in nuclear innovation, clean water systems, and even pandemic planning, years before COVID hit. 9. Criticism and complexity. Gates's legacy isn't all praise. Some criticize his monopolistic past. Others question his influence over global health policy. The divorce from Melinda and his ties to Jeffrey Epstein also raised eyebrows. But even critics admit, Gates made a dent in the universe. 10. Legacy of logic. Bill Gates changed the world not with charisma, but with logic. He saw the future before others, and he built the tools to reach it. Whether you use a PC, a vaccine, or solar panels, you're touching something he set in motion. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. If this inspired you, hit subscribe. The next Gates might already be coding after school. Welcome to Zukkun Knows. Before Rage Comics, Wojek Edits, or TikTok memes, there was Pepe. You've probably seen him. Green, big-eyed, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying. But have you ever wondered, how did this frog become a symbol for everything? 1. The birth of Pepe the Frog was born in 2005 from a webcomic called Boys Club by Matt Fury. Originally, Pepe was just one of 4 chill roommates, a laid-back frog who said, "Feels good, man." He was cute, weird, and totally harmless. 2. Pepe goes viral. Pepe's face, especially the "Feels Good Man" panel, started spreading across platforms like MySpace, Fortune, and Reddit. MySpace was an early social network focused on music and personal profiles. Fortune was an anonymous image board full of chaotic, fast-moving content. And Reddit was a growing online forum where users shared and voted on memes. People began editing Pepe's face to express emotions: happy, sad, smug, angry. By 2010, Pepe had become the ultimate reaction image. He wasn't just a frog, he was us in every mood. 3. The meme evolution. As the internet evolved, so did Pepe. A meme is a cultural idea, usually funny or weird, that spreads from person to person online. Pepe was perfect for this. There was sad Pepe, angry Pepe, rare Pepe trading cards, smug Pepe in a suit. The more editable he was, the more popular he became. He became a kind of emotional emoji for the early meme era. The rise of rare Pepes. In the mid-2000s teens, people started collecting and trading rare Pepes, custom versions of the frog. Some were sold as digital art, long before NFTs became a thing. Pepe was becoming both art and currency, a joke that turned into value. 5. The dark turn. Then came 2016. Pepe's image was hijacked by alt-right groups in the US during the election. They turned him into a political symbol, sometimes hateful, often controversial. The Anti-Defamation League even added him to a hate symbol database. Pepe was no longer just a meme, he was a battlefield. 6. Matt Fury fights back. Matt Fury, the creator, was heartbroken. He launched campaigns to save Pepe, reclaiming the frog as a positive symbol. He even made a documentary called Feels Good Man to tell the full story. His message: Pepe is not about hate, it's about peace. 7. Pepe's second life in Asia. While Pepe's image became controversial in the US, he found a second home in Asia. In Hong Kong, protesters used Pepe as a symbol of freedom and resistance, giving him new meaning. In Japan, he was just another meme, funny, strange, and loved. Pepe had become global and adaptable. 8. Pepe as emotional icon. What makes Pepe powerful is his face. That blank stare, that tiny smile, that look of, "I've seen too much." He became the internet's mirror, projecting every feeling from despair to joy. No words needed. 9. The NFT era and Pepe's legacy. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are digital items that prove ownership using blockchain technology. They can be art, music, videos, even memes. When NFTs exploded in the 2020s, Pepe made another comeback. Some rare Pepes became valuable assets on the blockchain. Once again, a joke had become money. But now people saw Pepe as more than a meme. They saw a cultural artifact. 10. Summary. The meme that became a mirror. Pepe the Frog started as a funny little frog. Now he's a legend, a symbol of humor, chaos, freedom, and identity. He doesn't speak, he just is. And that's why we see so much of ourselves in him. Thanks for watching Zukkun Knows. Pepe isn't just a meme. He's the joke that turned into a revolution, the frog that made us feel human. He was never supposed to mean anything.